Hi, internet. I'm back. Today we are playing a story about my uncle, which is a game. It is a very good game, and really telling you what it's about would kind of fucking ruin it. So we're just gonna start.
Dad?
Aren't you sleeping yet? It's time for bed, honey.
Dad, I can't sleep. Can you tell me a bedtime story?
All right. What do you want to hear?
Something about an adventure.
I think I know just the thing. When I was your age, my biggest dream was to follow my Uncle Fred on one of his adventures around the world. One day, he disappeared.
This game is a sort of story-based platformer game. It's made by Coffee Stain Studios.
I stepped into the lobby of my uncle's house. It lay just across the hill from where I lived with my mother, your grandmother. She had tried to keep me from going, but I wanted to see if Fred was home yet from his latest adventure.
There's a lot of narration in this game, so I might suddenly get cut off. It happens sometimes. But this is a game from Coffee Stain Studios, possibly better known as the Goat Simulator guys. They make pretty good games, in all honesty. I have left for a spontaneous journey. See you soon, Fred. Okay. So this is our uncle's house. Our uncle is an adventurer of some variety. We climbed that cave for days, and another copy right next to it. He has a lot of copies of We Climbed That Cave for Days. I have no idea what that YouTube link leads to. It's probably something cool and interesting. These are readable on higher... These are discernible on higher resolutions. This game has some very, very detailed textures. And I think some of these are lorem ipsum, but not all of them are, which I think is interesting. Also, I feel like that drawing right there is a reference to some other game of some kind that I can't think of what it's a reference to, but I feel like it is. Propane and a what looks like a game child playing a story about my uncle.
My uncle used to send me postcards from his long journeys. Greetings from Nepal, Galapagos, Kilimanjaro, the Amazon River. This was the first time he had left without a word, without sending cards.
Something occurs to me. Where do you go in New Mexico or Nevada or Arizona to have a journey? Is there really anything that interesting going on in New Mexico? Aside from, I don't know, alien conspiracies? I apologize if you can hear my computer humming in the background. My microphone is very sensitive, and there's not much I can do about that fact. Platinum bolts. Will dispose of anything, convenient environment, friendly, probably, dangerous for children, expensive, and where does it all go? So he invented a trash disposal system, I guess, and he doesn't know where the trash goes. That's safe. This is a very, very pretty game.
I had visited Uncle Fred's house countless of times, but in the locker, which usually was closed, I found something I hadn't seen before. It was an adventure suit. It resembled the one that Fred used, but smaller in size.
This game is interesting sometimes. The grammar on the narrator is a little bit odd.
And I tried it on. It fit like it had been custom made for me.
And there's our hand. I like the little detail of having a bandage on the ring finger. Little childish touch.
The most mysterious room of my uncle's house was the observatory. There he kept his newest experiments, and right now it held a pad used for disposing of garbage. Uncle Fred had warned me not to touch any of his things. But, as I said, I was a curious child.
It's not... this pad, by the way, if you remember... Oh, I apologize. This pad, if you remember... what was it? On the blackboard, I'm sorry, I blanked on the word blackboard for several minutes. On the blackboard back in the lab, it says it's not safe for children. So naturally, we're going to pull this lever and see just how not safe for children it is. That's probably a good sound. That's probably good. I'm being sucked into the garbage disposal. I can't believe I'm about to be disposed of. And there's our title card.
I landed with a crash, but thanks to the suit I wasn't hurt. I had no idea where the pad had taken me, but back then I didn't care so much about where I was going, or how I would get home.
This is a platforming game. So they... Obviously you don't take fall damage, because that would be a little bit weird. I accidentally just tried to zoom in and instead used an ability we haven't been introduced to yet. Please ignore that. We can sprint. We move at the typical Doom Olympic sprinter speed.
Me from falls on the ground, but
which
not
is
in water. I couldn't swim with this thing on. Best be careful.
Which is cool. It's nice. Here we go. This is the charge jump. I used it earlier before we technically learned how to.
I was sure that someone had been here before me. Someone had built these bridges and carved these symbols, but who? Where were they now?
For those of you wondering, no, this power jump is not the only mechanic in the game, but we will get to that shortly. This game is a relatively simple platformer, but I feel they do a pretty good job of keeping things fresh and interesting. Over here we have our first sort of collectible / secret area. And it unlocks a bit of narration. I'm not going for all secrets in this run, so any ones that I find will just be me stumbling across them.
How did you know Fred had been there?
Well, I found a small campsite where Fred must have slept before going further into the caves. I knew it was him because the place was littered with empty packages of his favorite hiking foods. Canned soups, tube food, and instant noodles.
Tube food? That sounds gross.
Oh well, it's not that bad. One winter, Uncle Fred and I went hiking into the mountains, and we were surprised by a blizzard. We were stuck in a small cabin for 2 days. and all we ate was tube food, and cold canned goulash as well. Your grandmother was worried sick, but I thought it was all very exciting.
Truffle mac and cheese in a tube, and very excited instant noodles, exclamation point, so it's really more screaming instant noodles at you. So that's cool. These symbols on the ground are save points. I don't know if they ever actually say that, but that's what they are. I'm not gonna try for that. This game is surprisingly responsive. I know a lot of people get annoyed at first-person platformers just because platforming in the first person is a pain in the ass because you can't see your feet for the most part. But I honestly don't have a problem with it, and I missed the jump. I don't really have a problem with platforming in the first person. I think it's pretty enjoyable, but this game does a lot to mitigate the... And I did it again. This game does a lot to... I just do not learn, do I? This game does a lot to mitigate the various problems that first-person platforming has. It doesn't alleviate them entirely, but for the most part, it does a fair job of keeping things fair. And you'd wonder why I keep trying at all at this rate. I have beaten this game before, I promise. Even if it looks like I'm clown shoes idiotic at actually playing it. As said, our suit will break all of our falls. And over here, well, I'm gonna go down here first before I go up there. Just look around a little bit. This game really is pretty. There is a crystal.
The power core I found activated the suit's grappling device when I picked it up. It must have been left here by my uncle.
Here's another main mechanic of the game, grappling. It is ostensibly the main mechanic of the game. You have charges indicated on this glove, which I really like. I like interfaces that incorporate like features of your character's armor or clothes, or like your GUI is actually a set of goggles that your character's wearing. I really enjoy that. But the amount of grapples we have left are denoted by the little glowing bar next to the middle
Grappling
circle.
Device left a sort of symbol everywhere I grappled. I noticed similar symbols already there in the cave, and I was getting more and more certain that this place was where Fred had gone.
And grapple charges regenerate when on the ground, but once you've used them in the air, you can't use them again until you touch the ground. So you can't infinitely grapple. This game is one of many favorite games of mine because it really is a well put together experience. It's just got a lot of polish and a lot of unique personality, and the narration is very, very good. And I believe over here is one of our first secrets. These little machines. It's not entirely clear what those machines do, but collecting the readouts, I believe, unlocks secrets if you get enough of them. Grappling also makes this game a lot more forgiving when it comes to a lot of the platforming, which I appreciate. because I don't like no margin for error platforming. Like, I don't like I Wanna Be the Guy and things like that. I think it's an exercise in masochism that's not very interesting. Combine power leap and grapple to get to far areas. As the game said, these symbols denote where Uncle Fred has grappled before us, and I think it's an interesting way of guiding the player around. Because games where half of the trouble is figuring out where to go is, I don't like that type of game design either. I think it's just generally a rude thing to do to the players and an uninteresting thing to do as a developer. It's why I don't like Original Doom, because Original Doom, after you got past the ultra-violence and the killing monsters, it really was just a maze and an exercise in being frustrated at mazes. Now, I can hear another one of those printout boxes around here, but I'm not sure where it is. So I'm going to take a glance around, see if I can't find where that beeping is coming from. There we go. It's down. No? Oh, here it is. I think. Yeah, down there. Oh, I earned an unlockable. I didn't actually know that I... Huh. Well, let's check what that is. Oh, the unlockable is the beam color. That's interesting. I'm glad that that exists. I'm going to make the beam a nice magenta. Don't know what goat mode is, or acrobatic mode. As the game said earlier, when you grapple a moving object, you're pulled along with it. Oh, it even changes the color of the grapple symbols. That's nice. Attention to detail is everything, and that wasn't going to end well. We have 3 out of 5 collectibles according to the menu. I have no idea where the other 2 are. But if I hear beeping, I'll be sure to investigate. Now, I'm not sure how long this recording has been running for, so I'm going to take a break right here, and I will pick this back up in a minute. Have a lovely evening.